Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of VGU Talks, and let's talk games. I'm Don the Expert Coles from VideoGamesUncovered.com, and this may just be the final video I talk about Destiny. So in case you're brand new to the channel, and if you don't know me and don't know my history with the game, I have done 3 parts to a series known as Destiny vs Warframe, where throughout my time playing both of those games back to back, I gave you my thoughts as they developed and as they updated throughout the times. Quite frankly, in today's day and age, although this isn't an official part 4, I will gladly say this: Warframe is by far the greatest experience out of the two. But I wanted to make a specific video talking about Destiny and why I'm disappointed about it, because after reading a lot of your guys' comments on those 3 videos, and trust me, I've loved reading every single one of those comments, it's great to see people on conflicting opinions, same opinions and all that jazz, and that was amazing to witness. But I do understand that I wasn't as clear as I probably could have been talking about why I genuinely fell out with the game. So here we go. First things first, when Destiny first was announced, like a lot of other people, I was hyped. I was seriously hyped, and when I heard an alpha was coming on the PS4, I had to get into it ASAP. Luckily I did. I played in the alpha, I played in the beta, I played it when I went to events like EGX, and every time I played the game, it solidified to me that this game was fun. It solidified to me that this game was great, and it solidified to me that I needed to pre-order this game. So of course, I put down my pre-order. I even put down a pre-order for the season pass, and I claimed the game. The first about 5 or 6 months of the game, as you can probably see in part 1 of the trilogy, I really enjoyed Destiny. I enjoyed what it brought to the table, the visuals, the enemy designs, everything that it was giving you. I was loving. It was something fresh, something new, something pulse pounding, something that kept you on your toes, and I really enjoyed it. Plus the fact that you had daily content that you could keep going back and trying your luck at in order to get that really high stakes loot, or in order to level up to really high up levels. Really solid. But then after a time, things started clicking. They started clicking so hard, and this is why Warframe helped me realize a lot of problems with Destiny. Like, don't get me wrong, Warframe can be repetitive, and in some ways, yes, it is repetitive, but not on a level that Destiny is. Allow me to explain one reason as to why. So with Destiny, let's say you're going on Earth. You have one specific gigantic area on Earth which is split into little different areas where you have all the little individual story missions, or you can have a really big open world mission where you can travel around, gather resources, do all the mini quests for pop-up, go against really big bosses for pop-down on events, stuff like that. And that's fun. But guess what? You're going to the same areas over and over again. Nothing changes, nothing's different, and the world, quite frankly, it tries to enforce how big it is, but it's not that big at all. Whilst with Warframe, if you compare Earth in Destiny to Earth in Warframe, Warframe has tile sets, randomized tile sets. So every time you go into a different area on Earth, you will most likely never get the same tile set twice. You'll get similar tile sets and similar organizations of tile sets from one area to another, but there is no guarantee that you will get that every single time you do the mission over and over again, most likely until you do the boss missions featuring guys like Vahek or Til Rhaegor, but those levels are constructed around the boss, so it kinda makes sense. But that's only one of the reasons. The repetitive gameplay was only the tip of the iceberg for me. The second was the grind. And I have played many games that require grinding. I've grown up with the Final Fantasy series. I've played Warframe, as you guys know. I have played games like Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory, which is a massive grind fest. And I've enjoyed all of those games in the past. And yet for some reason, Destiny's grind is not fun. I don't find it entertaining. As much as you're giving me dailies and reasons to grind, the grind is just so painful that I just can't go through it anymore. Let's put it this way, the grind was so bad, I went back to Final Fantasy X, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games of all time, to see if the grind in that was anything like the grind in Destiny. No. I did the same in Final Fantasy XII. No. 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 4, none of them were as bad as Destiny's grind. And for the longest time I was wondering what it was that made that grind so painful. And I realized it. That leveling system. The fact that the weapon drops were just so bad. And the RNG was incredibly painful. Don't get me wrong, many games are victims of bad RNG, but at least they give you a reason to keep going back, and every time you go back, it's engaging, it's fun, it's challenging. Destiny was not challenging, was not fun in the long run, and quite frankly, I had more time getting my ass whipped by level 80 to 100 Grineer enemies in the brand new Warframe sorties than I ever had playing Destiny at any level of the game, because quite frankly, Destiny was too damn easy. And I'm talking every aspect of Destiny was too easy. The story missions, the optional missions, the bosses, the raids, everything. And quite frankly, that's my biggest disappointment with it. Destiny was hyped up to be this big FPS MMO crossover that will give players on both sides of the spectrum what they wanted. Don't get me wrong, I love FPSs, but I have a slightly bigger love for MMOs more, and the fact that they wanted to bring those mechanics over and try and make a mold of both of them was very interesting. I was looking forward to it as much as everyone else was. But there's no MMO here. It's really shoddy MMO elements. But the final disappointment that I have with Destiny has to be with what happened after the DLCs. The DLCs, hands down, were a waste of my money for that season pass, and I hated them. I think I hated them more, simply because Destiny had zero story. The narrative was ripped out, shoved onto the Grimoire cards, and shoved onto a separate app or online, so that you had to actively unimmerse yourself to re-immerse yourself, and you couldn't immerse yourself that well whatsoever because the story was behind cards. Freaking cards. If I wanted a story behind cards, I would either watch Card Captors or I would go back and watch the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then the Taken King happened. And the Taken King was the best thing that happened to Destiny because it actually fixed a lot of the problems I had with Destiny. When I did part 3 of my Destiny vs Warframe trilogy, I understand that was a big problem. I was experiencing the Taken King without having hands-on experience with that release. I now have the hands-on experience, and I admit Destiny has gotten better because of the Taken King, but it's not a masterpiece. It is not 100% fixed, and it still is not and will never be as good as a game like Warframe. Because the Taken King added in the story we all wanted, and it was amazing to play through. But why was that not in the rest of the game? And then of course Bungie goes back on their word, adding in microtransactions that add nothing to the game. Because they don't. Adding in character level boosters, which are pathetic. Because if you want me to play the game, you don't want me to play the game if you're offering me 20 quid to buff my character all the way up to near high level. There are just so many strange, weird design choices that have just made that game, in the long run, disappointing. But it's now 2016, Destiny 2 has been delayed. This is going to be the new franchise of the new generation, and I'm not impressed. I want to see this become legend. But if a free-to-play title can do better than something from a AAA developer and publishing duo, then you know something is to be concerned about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit of a longer video, a bit of a ranty one as well, and I do apologize, but I wanted to address your guys' comments, and I hope I have. If you guys have any more questions about my thoughts on Destiny and any of the little bits, be sure to leave it in the comments below. I'll see if I can't get to them. I might not be able to get to all of them, but I'll at least try my best. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to what I have to say about Destiny, and I'll see you for another edition of VGU Talks.